Welcome everybody to LEGO Harry Potter Years 1 through 4. This was recently aired on GDQ, so those who have seen that know exactly what this run's all about. But to let those who haven't seen that know what's exactly going on, Freeplay Percent is basically going through all the levels with as much as you have unlocked, basically. So say you have the Reducto spell. By finishing 4th year, we can use that. We can use also any character we've ever obtained that or purchased. You notice our file selection looks a little bare. I'll get into that a little bit later when I have a bit of downtime. But I know my mic's a little wonky. I think most of the glitches in this game are best seen as just getting into it. So I'm going to give myself a countdown. We'll be good to go. 3, 2, 1, let's go. So you'll also notice I use Fang for majority of this run, just because I think he has the fastest movement speed, as well as the fact he's a little broken in the sense that we can scale walls. So just like that. So what we do is we jump into the wall as one character, and then switching to Fang, he has an elongated hitbox, allowing us to scale up the wall to the game's programmed height. We also use Fang because he's a strength character, allowing him to pull chains, which there's a few of them in the run that we can't just jump right over. The biggest difference between this run you're going to see today and the previous Potterthon is we're using the new technique of one player, two controllers. And that allows us to do a few wacky things, which you'll see as the first thing in Out of the Dungeon. Okay, one level down. So right here is going to be our first example of one player, two controllers, where we use Crookshanks, or activate Crookshanks right as we're about done casting Accio on Hermione, to basically what we do, we call a pet warp. We send the companion character forward to where the game would otherwise have like a default spawn position. Unfortunately, I missed the cutscene skip. You can skip the troll peering into the toilet like a little pervert. But unfortunately, I missed it. It's a little bit RNG depending on which set of animations you get. But nonetheless, it's still better than when we used to have to jump over the gases. And unfortunately this fight is a little scripted, so there's not much we can do to speed it up other than that very first animation skip, as well as getting a good club movement. Which of course I don't today. Come on. Sometimes the troll can just stand there, bothering you that way. Oh well. So what we do on this one, we scale the invisible wall and run along it, because there's a little bit of there's a cutscene there otherwise that if you hit, it's just a massive time waste. By far the fastest year is year 1, as you just see me blowing through the levels. They do start to take longer once you hit 2nd and 3rd year, but 4th year is also pretty fast. Currently, world record in year 1 alone is an 8:42, I want to say, by Harass Me, who is an awesome LEGO runner in general, as well as other miscellaneous games that I can't think about right now. One thing to note about that Fang jump in particular, it's a little bit weird because sometimes the bookcase will push you back if you're at a weird angle. The best angle to approach that bookcase from is being parallel to it. You're almost always going to be able to make it over and butt into the wall. Just hit the bats, move along. Most of first year hasn't changed a whole lot, apart from a couple uses of 1 player 2 controller in Out of the Dungeon as well as Face of the Enemy. So one of the reasons that the file selection is so bare is because we want to minimize the time that we spend in menu selecting Fang. So by having only the barest of bones characters, we are guaranteed to get Fang every time, so we can just spam parry and save, I think, 2 seconds on each menu alone. So I'm going for a hard trick right here that would be considered early trapdoor. By scaling that wall, you can get above the ceiling and clip into Fluffy, basically. Okay, I got it. See, you skip watching the camera pan out and having to jump in it after. So here comes one of the biggest uses of 1 player 2 controller. It's called Accio clipping. If I did it right, yep, I did. We can just clip right through walls. So I'm having a bit of downtime right now, so if anybody has any kind of questions, now would be like the perfect time to ask. Okay, chalk that up to being a marathon. The castle just didn't disappear. I've actually never seen that happen before. That's kind of hilarious. As far as years 5 through 7, that's not exactly what I run, just because I personally don't find it that enjoyable. I have to remap my controls every time I start a new file, and I don't know why, but Steam just doesn't like me, I guess. However, if you're interested in 5 through 7, you're going to want to look to streamers and runners like Chickman and That Toffee, because they've been, along with other glitch hunters in the 5 through 7 community, been able to find massive skips and breaks within the story mode, which is what I usually call cutscene percent. Again, it's almost like it's a scripted fight. There's nothing we can do to speed it up other than just wait it out, and hopefully he gives us a fast cycle, which it seems it's about moderately usual. just on me today. So that's first year done already. It's pretty quick. At least I didn't die to Voldemort. Embarrassingly, that happened in practice today. Just shaming myself. So here in the burrow, we're just looking for Ginny so we can move on to Nocturnally. Pretty straightforward, but there's a few different objectives we have to meet in order for her to actually appear. Now, if you activate the painting before Ginny appears, you actually have to sit through a really long animation of them demanding you find Ginny, and it's painfully slow. There's not a whole lot that goes on in Floo Powder other than what's scripted, just because we can't really use Accio Clip anywhere useful right now, that we found at least. Or Pet Warping doesn't load us anywhere useful. Because more often than not, Pet Warp will just kill us by sending us into a death zone. Now, Dobby used to be a bit of an issue. There's a new strat going around that I found. It's highly inconsistent, so I'm not going to be going for it today. But basically what you can do is you can skip the first couple phases of Dobby by just simply bang jumping all the way over and Accio clipping to where the boulder is. It's... oh, okay. By going up and around where the platform was, we can skip to Dobby early completely, not having to do pixies or the vines, as well as that stupid jump. It cuts out a lot, but it's a little inconsistent for the time being. So for sake of safety of the marathon, conventional strats. Let's bark at Dobby for a little bit. So coming up, I'm going to be going for what's called Skeleton Skip. What it is basically, if you jump into a load zone at the same time as a cutscene's about to start, you can basically buffer it so that you don't have to watch the cutscene. Which, I got it, thank goodness, because watching the skeleton dance around just wastes about 15-20 seconds, and you just want to go as fast as possible. So if you can skip the cutscene, why not? Crab and Goyles is, ever since, I'd say, the original Legothon, back almost 2 years ago, no, over 2 years ago now, come to think of it, we used to have to, in the second part of this, build a little golden dude so he could turn a bunch of taps off and kill a snake so that we could access the Slytherin common room. Since then, we've now found what I honestly think is arguably one of the harder fang jumps in the game, just because you have to do majority of it blind. But first we have to, unfortunately, brew the Polyjuice potion. Only 2 potions in the entire game, and they're in back-to-back levels. So here comes the hard jump. Usually, the fact that you're doing it blind isn't as much of a problem as it is that you just have to set your angle up right. I usually try to kill most of the common room just because they interfere with your Accio spell otherwise. That wasn't too bad for a Crab and Goyle. Upcoming here is what I would consider some of the most tangible RNG in the entire game in the Myrtle fight. It's long, it's boring, it's tedious, and sometimes there's just nothing you can do with her pieces. The first phase is very basic, 3 doors. She'll throw 3 items that you can throw right back at the doors. You get 1 heart off on the first phase. Second phase, she'll do all 5 doors, but that's an example of something else she can do. She can throw silver pieces, which you can do absolutely nothing with, and therefore just make you stand there waiting. So in total, this fight is 3 phases. First phase, it's 3 doors, 1 heart. Second phase, 5 doors, 1 heart. Third phase, 5 doors, 2 hearts. Okay. That was a really good Myrtle, actually. I think that was a total of either 2 or 3 silvers, and we didn't get Myrtle glitch, meaning she didn't open all her doors and then immediately close them. I didn't actually think I got the property there, so I was about to restart it, but I actually got it. Now, the next level is Follow the Spiders, which, in my opinion, is one of the worst levels, just because there's so many different things that could mess around with you. It's a very movement-heavy level, sadly. Okay, sometimes my controller just will eat my jump. It's honestly embarrassing when you screw that jump up just because it's an easy jump and it makes a fool out of you. So what I'm about to do after I avoid 2 different cutscenes, one with the rail and one with the tree, or the pixies and the tree, I'm about to do what is called either early Aragog or tree skip, depending on who you talk to. And of course I get a down warp. Oh look, I've got to set this all up over again. Okay, second try's not too bad. And then we're in Aragog. For those with arachnophobia, careful please. There is a giant spider as well as lots of little spiders on your screen. Again, scripted fights. There's only one technically scripted fight in the entire game that we can actually skip now, and we get to show that off in 30, or where you actually just skip the willow altogether. So here we have an auto-scrolling chase segment, so this would be actually a perfect time if anybody has questions, just to fire them off. Just because I'm just focusing on making sure I don't run into the different brambles and bushes. So here's going to be another use of 1-player 2 controllers where we're literally just going to clip into chamber instead of having to unlock. Oh, so this happens every now and again. You just have to reload the level because sometimes Accio clipping will just not want to work at all. If it works, Hermione turns a very... That's what happens, and you can just clip it into chamber early. And it's even resetting the level is so much faster than the intended way that we're supposed to get into chamber. Okay. So, as far as the Basilisk fight goes, all we have to do is make sure that the pieces of all the strength potion would be on the floor. Gotta make sure I'm using Harry. Again, I don't know what it is with me and marathons, but every time I've been in a marathon, the Basilisk's health doesn't appear. I swear that it does appear, it's just a visual bug. But every time I'm in a marathon, the Basilisk's health just disappears. Oh, or you know, the Basilisk could just be completely hiding. Just stab some air. It be like that sometimes. But we're already technically halfway through the run. And the front half is honestly a lot more stressful than the back half, in my opinion. As much as, you know, you're having a good paced run, you're excited, getting into late game is a lot. Once you're in late game, you're just chill. We'll have the Arthur Weasley gang eventually. If anybody's ever seen any of my streams or runs, you'll know whenever possible, I'll always try to have the maximum number of Arthur Weasleys on the screen, just because... Wait, look at that walk cycle. He looks so happy. Just to be included in their run. So once I get into the train, I'm going to attempt what's called early compartment, or at least that's what I call it. Where basically you can skip giving the kids the candy and just say, no, I'm going right into the compartment and starting the next area. I can just line Hermione upright. That should work. So right now I'm doing what's called transfig clip. Because the game developers, they were so nice that they, you know... Oh, hang on one sec. The drawbacks of doing one player, two controllers is that the controller can sometimes fall and waste you a little bit of time if you're on a good paced run. As I was saying about transfiguration clip, when you turn one of your other characters into an animal, in that one specific area as well as in the Whomping Willow, the game developers just so politely let us be able to clip under locks or vines. Now, Hogsmeade is a difficult level in replay story, but for Freeplay, we don't have to worry about the same kind of unfortunates that they do with the Malfoy fight. It's a lot easier for us to skip it than in replay story because you're a lot more limited in that with your movement. But here I'm just going to go for a bridge skip, and I got it first try. So there's a cutscene there that you can skip just by going up the house and running around, like, basically just going over it. That really is the mantra of this game. Just go over it. Again, sadly this isn't a place where we can fully utilize Accio clipping because the game just crashes. Whether it be an audio bug or a visual bug, this game just loves to crash when you're doing Accio clips. So you just have to play them safe. Ideally today, I'm going to hopefully get a sub 50. The world record is 48:18 by me. So hopefully I can just at least get a sub 50 to showcase what this run has become since I last Potterthon when I got a 55. The fact in the span of 8 months we've managed to shave another 5 minutes off the game is absolutely mind-blowing to me. But I'll explain where all the thanks for that goes once I hit probably final task, just because there's not a lot to do there other than just follow your patterns that have been instilled since the first day you learned the game. Oh, by the way, that was like one of the fastest levels of the game, just because you can fang jump over literally everything. But upcoming is the Whomping Willow, quote-unquote, scripted fight, which we can now skip thanks to Accio clipping. I'm just going to take a moment to line myself up. This trick actually is pretty hard, no matter what I say. It is hard. I will be just going until I get it. Which, it might take me a minute, but... Let's try another angle. Will Hermione actually cooperate? Okay. No! Hermione! Okay. That looks good. Yeah, okay, so that's... Unfortunately, that was really slow, but that, in essence, is Willow Skip. That was actually done very poorly, in my opinion, but showcased. So what we're about to do here is what I refer to as solo root removal, where you do 1 player, 2 controller strats. And sadly, you have to wait until you time back out as the whatever animal you get transfigured into. But with a little patience, we can just skip 2 of the vines. There's not much we can do to speed up building the rat trap against Peter Pettigrew other than just... Actually, there really isn't anything we can do. I take that back. There's nothing other than just... hopefully knowing where he's going to spawn, what pieces are left to spawn, and where. A total of 6 pieces to build the trap. Okay. Back half was a lot better than the first trick in that level, thank goodness. So, another reason why we have the bare minimum file is because we want the Death Eater. He's the only character other than Madame Pomfrey that can pick up mandrakes without needing earmuffs. Really fast, as well as the fact that it just helps us speed through the game a little bit better. He's gonna kick us back, just because, you know, he doesn't like people. So ideally you want to swim as little as possible, just because swimming is extremely slow in this game. Just want to make sure that, okay, the disc that didn't despawn, that's always good. If it despawns on you, that just makes you upset a little bit, because you have to go all the way back up to the lake, get the disc. So you're going to notice what I try to do is go between the Crumb Shark as well as the Death Eater because the Death Eater has the Patronus spell. And by switching to Crumb and back, you are able to retain where your spell last was, as well as erase any cooldown that the spell like that would have. Because Patronus, I think at least, is the one spell with actual cooldown. I think. I only really ever play Freeplay, so... Ooh, 0 for 2. Can I get the legendary 0 for 3? Oh, jeez, this is a train wreck. I will get this. There we go. So you see, my character had a little bit of a bounce animation in midair. If you get that bounce animation, that means you're safely over the invisible wall. Otherwise, you're just dead. Okay. Not about to challenge the Dementor today. Because Dementors are kind of scary if you don't have... Okay, so what happened there was I accidentally soft-blocked myself slightly. But thanks to being able to summon a second player with a second controller, I kind of really lucked out on that. This is the only place where the Dementors actually go after Fang, even though they can't do anything. So far, the back half of this year 3 actually kind of sucks, in my opinion, but as far as marathon runs go, it's still pretty alright. Again, you see me utilizing the quick switch between Crumb Shark as well as the Death Eater, just so that I can have very little cooldown on Patronus. Oh, I almost avoided the freeze. One final phase on the Dementor, and then that'll be the end of year 3. That was actually a really solid Dementor fight. I'm hoping I can still get sub 50, but at this point, I really don't know if it's going to be possible. It'll be really close if I get it, though. Please. So, in this section, we just have to free all the Weasleys. Thank goodness George actually cooperated. Sometimes you can be firing at him for like 10 seconds and he just stands there like he doesn't know what to do with fireworks. Hey, I'm you. There we go. 6 Arthur Weasleys on the screen. So, I actually got the good cycle, and I'm getting the snakes as fast as possible, which allows Barty Crouch in the background there to just throw snakes as fast as he can actually fling them. So far, the run has been mostly solid so far. I'm actually kind of impressed with getting most of the clips first try. The only thing giving me issues being Willow skip as well as the Doom jump in Dark Tower. But then again, that jump is always ridiculously hard. It's marginally faster to go for it, even though the ice really isn't that big of an issue on that level. But I digress. So in this level, we're just basically using all of the movement skills we have to either just jump over and avoid the Horntail at any given cost, because it's a little bit of a scary dragon. So if you take the above path like we used to do in Freeplay, you could actually get stuck in that tree and soft lock, and it kind of sucks a lot, because if you're this far into the run, you don't want to reset just the level, you lose the run, and it hurts you just a bit. But upcoming is the only other level than the first one that we actually select Fang, because he's used for a forward warp in the auto-scroller. If you are selecting any other character, it doesn't work. I've tried it with a plethora of different characters. It just doesn't work. So here we go to the game's program maximum height, switch to Hermione, and then we're abusing Fall Rescue as well as a little bit of Fang gliding just to get to the egg early. But what I'm about to do here is oh, I missed it. That upsets me. I missed the forward warp. Oh well. I lost track of where I was in my character wheel. Basically, you can skip this entire first segment of that run, and it saves like 6 seconds, I think. So, missing it isn't the end of the world, but it still kind of sucks that I spent all the time explaining what it is and I missed it. Hopefully the other... Oh, this dragon's just... This is a rude dragon today. I'm sorry about my microphone peaking all the time. Here comes another segment of 1 player, 2 controllers. I think this is actually the last one in the run. Now, I failed this badly at GDQ. Hopefully I get it first try here. Yes, I do. So when Hermione goes all white like that, you can then just use her to clip through the different walls. So doing that is early Secret of the Egg, or I call it tap skip. You'll find in the 1 through 4 community, everybody has their own name for everything. It's just how it is. We don't always have the same idea for different names for different skips, but we know what we're talking about for the most part. So it used to be one of the worst levels because water levels, they're just absolutely horrible. We can now make them so much easier by abusing Crumb Shark. So first what we have to do is get down to this little segment here, attack the rocks, and we clip out of bounds. So right now we are technically underneath the map. Have to stay up enough so I know where I am, because eventually we will have to clip back into bounds. Oh, it's the giant squid. You're not supposed to be back here, if you can tell. So just by using Crumb Shark, we can attack these rocks, and we just clip ourselves back in bounds. Hey look, another wall we can attack. This one we want to make sure we stay low enough because you can get caught in that updraft and just soft lock yourself. At that point there literally is nothing you can do, just because you're beyond the point where anything can matter. You're physically just stuck. Kill the mer people because they honestly just waste a ton of time. So hopefully Hermione stays behind. Yes, okay. So by having Hermione stay behind, we can switch back to her and just be able to fire at the chains from behind. All in all, it's pretty decent so far. I'm pretty sure this is going to be sub 50, but there's only one final fight to find out. So, we're finally here, final task. It's a very fixed pattern. You spawn the little soldier. I can hit them. You spawn him. He has a very fixed pattern on where you go, so no matter what you do, it's the same path every time. But this is going to be the part of the run where I give my shoutouts, because there's a lot of people that have helped this game get to where it is, whether it be finding little skips, optimizing movement. There's so many different little aspects of this game that and runners that deserve shouting out. So almost starting in chronological order, I'm going to start with Lost Viking, who really pioneered the route, as well as Thinks the Clown for being one of the original. He was one of the first people who actually really ever gave me a challenge, because for so long he held the record, and then we fought over it many times. Finally, I have it, but whatever, that's beside the point. I really also want to thank, after that, Harass Me for really just... He was the one who found a lot of the shenanigans involving Accio clipping. So huge shoutouts to him there for that. Without that, I don't know where we would be. We would still be doing really long fights. Quickly, I want to thank Curry for helping find Pet Warp. As well as miscellaneous other runners like Vicino DDA and your everyday speedrunner who you'll see later at the marathon doing this game but story percent. Time's about to happen, and time! Definitely a good run, sub 50. I honestly didn't get through my shoutouts fast enough, but what can you do? And I want to thank anybody going forward that would be interested in running the game, providing different glitch hunting experiences. All in all, thank you for letting me showcase this game and bring apart and show what LEGO really has to offer to potters. And with that, I'm good to go. Thanks for having me, everybody.